Thank you. So today we're going to be talking about thinking out of the box, reimagining our cooking appliances. And I just want to let you all start with just to make sure everyone's on the same page and knows what each product is, to just give your 1-minute elevator pitch about who you are, what you do, what your product is.
Hi, my name is Matt Van Horn. I'm one of the co-founders of June, and we make the June Oven, a 7-in-1 appliance that'll allow you to cook your food perfectly every time.
My name's Liss. I'm one of the co-founders of Suvie, and we're a multi-zone cool-to-cook cooker with a meal kit delivery service.
John Pleasance of Brava, and we make a smart countertop oven that cooks with infrared light, so it's faster, tastier, and easier to use than other appliances. It also has a food service around it too. We also are in the food business.
Okay, so my first question is kind of general. Why reinvent the oven? Every home in America has one. So what made you land on an oven, or is it even an oven? I don't know who wants to take that first, but maybe Matt?
So my co-founder Nikhil and I, we both loved cooking, and we weren't happy with the tools. And so we had this audacious idea that we had to make them ourselves, which is crazy, for the record, not recommended. Apologizing on behalf of everyone up here, and the pain we've signed up for. But we love it, and we love cooking. And there's just this future that we couldn't unsee of what we thought we could create with intelligence and software, and by designing something from scratch. And so we're very fortunate now that we're onto our 2nd generation product, and learned so much from our 1st generation. And just by making it better and better over time in software, it's been an amazing experience so far.
So Robin?
Yeah, I think Kevin and I, we saw how much our families were struggling to just put dinner on the table, and that a lot of the innovation was around, heat and cooking, and maybe not the problems that we thought were out there with prep and getting everything on the table at the same time. And then we also saw a lot of mobile innovation that really wasn't that additive. So we viewed, cool to cook, being able to initiate the cook with your phone, maybe while you're coming home from work, as this life-changing thing to save people massive amounts of time. And that's when we started on the journey of creating a cool to cook oven.
Ours was kind of in 3 steps. So the original insight was 6 years ago when one of our co-founders was at a Christmas dinner with his parents, and the mom was in that traditional situation going back and forth to the kitchen. And they realized that the oven was sort of the biggest culprit. So was there a way to make the oven know what was in it? Was there a way to make it adjust accordingly? That whole idea. But I think he was smart enough to say, we don't just want to make it smart, we want to make it better. So he kind of shelved it until he ran into one of our other co-founders who was working on different heating elements using infrared light. And so that was kind of the breakthrough of, okay, if you marry these 2 things, maybe you can get something super powerful and it was really focused on precision and accuracy at that point. My contribution to that equation, however limited it may have been, was more to say, no, let's make it really versatile. So we had to expand the size so it could accommodate a 12-inch pizza. Let's make it for everyday use in households, and really focusing also, like Robin talked about, really focusing on dinner as a particular pain point.
Okay, well, that's interesting. What are the pain points? You were saying getting everything on the table at the same time, Robin, and getting everybody to sit down at the same time. Are there other things about cooking that your ovens or your devices are solving?
I'll just take a quick stab. I mean, one of the taglines we've sort of used in our company and some of our marketing is make home your favorite place to eat. And I bring that up because I think in a lot of ways what we're trying to do is address people's dependence on takeout, people's thinking that they can only get good food by going out to restaurants. So it's less about our appliance versus this other appliance. It's more about reframing just the whole idea that it doesn't have to be hard to get amazingly good food at home. If you can sort of solve that ROI equation, you're really onto something big, because I think at least that's my perception of how homes work. If you want something good, you're going to put a lot of effort in. We're going to change that.
Yeah, American women on average, I think, spend 61 minutes a day in the kitchen. Men spend about 40. And, there's not a lot of tech that's going at making that time more efficient. And so if Suvie can save her, 40 minutes, 20 minutes a day, that's 20 minutes she gets to spend with her loved ones, with her kids, with her family, and there's so many complicated psychological emotions around meal preparation, providing for your family, being a good mother, And, I love to cook once or twice a week, but a lot of these meals are chores. And I think that working on that pain point is, frankly, more revolutionary than self-driving cars, right? I mean, than a lot of this kind of stuff. And it's largely being ignored, or at least relative to some of these big tech areas.
Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's how do we solve weeknight dinners? On a busy Tuesday night when I have a screaming 2.5-year-old, which I do have for the record, and a crying 6-month-old, which I often do have too, how can we solve weeknight dinners? And so, like for me, I love cooking and I'm a total cooking geek, but my wife, on the other hand, never really cooked before she had a June. But now she can just take a nice high-quality piece of salmon, put it in the June oven, close the door, press a button, and, spend time with kids and work on solving those challenges versus worrying, am I going to undercook or overcook my dinner?
Sounds good. As far as who do you think Robin, you were saying women are mostly the audience for yours. I mean, do you have different economic brackets, or who do you think is really going to buy these ovens? Who is buying them now in the case of June?
Yeah, I mean, we've pre-sold quite a few. And our data tells us 75-80% are women. And it's kind of who we designed the product for. I mean, men can and should use Suvie. But
I bought one.
Thank you. But I think that, it is a problem or a challenge that disproportionately impacts dual-income working women. And so we're really proud. I think a lot of the Gen 1 innovation in the kitchen was about, fire and heating and the perfect cook. And I'm not sure if you talk to most women that are responsible for dinner, they're going to tell you that the perfect steak is the biggest problem they have. It's probably around prep and cleanup and getting everything on the table at the same time. And that's what Suvie is really focused on.
How are you addressing the idea of prep in each case? I mean, with June, it's really, there's no meal kit associated with June at this point, right? Or is there?
There's no meal kit, but we did announce a partnership with Whole Foods Market today that we're very excited about, where we have custom designed cook programs for the most popular foods that they sell. So for 80% of the kind of the meat counter and the seafood counter, we have cook programs for right now, and 70% of produce, and frozen, I think we're about 40% right now. And so we're able to create these custom cook programs for the most popular foods that Whole Foods sells.
Did you consider going with a meal kit or some kind of other food subscription? Or
we've talked about it internally, but we've never really gone down the path. I've never negotiated a contract with any of the meal kit folks. It kind of didn't feel like the right fit for us, even though I have great respect for that world, and what David's doing with Tovala and doing it all himself. Huge kudos to him. That's amazing that he's able to do that, and I think it's really cool.
Do you think that presents a barrier to some people, that they would have to subscribe to a food subscription to use the oven? Or
I mean, for us, we made a tool, right? The June oven, it's not about our food or Whole Foods food or stuff that we send to you. We want you to be able to cook anything, and whether you want to do slow cooked ribs, or if you want salmon as quickly as possible, or if you want to write your own custom 8-step, multi-step steak program, we want to enable you to do that.
Okay. And Robin, you have a meal kit subscription model. What is that? How does that work?
Yeah, so we designed Suvie really to be componentized from day one, and we studied a lot of food startups, and we said that if there's too much processing that's required of the food, A, people won't want it, and B, it's really hard to make those partnerships. So the food that we sell is really packed by partners using very traditional, simple food packing methods. It's, our proteins have salt and pepper in the bag, and it's just a sous vide friendly bag. Our vegetables are just pre-cut and pre-washed. Starches are raw. The sauces are, I guess, pre-cooked, but they're chef designed. So the components are really raw food, and what's important about that is it also says to our consumers, which is you can use your own food too, right? There's been a lot of closed systems in this world of consumable plus appliance, and we thought it was really important to, like Matt said, be a tool. And so we hope, and when we talk to our consumers, they're planning on using some days using Suvie provided meals, and then some days using their own. And we're really excited about that, because we think that's going to bring a whole nother type of consumer-based innovation to our meal program. And we hope very much to sign on other partners to produce food for Suvie and really use that Silicon Valley term, even though I'm the one not from Silicon Valley, of being a platform for all kinds of creativity and innovation.
John, did you want to add to that?
It's very similar. We have a hybrid model as well. You can use your own food, or you can source food from us. We've mostly focused on our relationships with the actual suppliers upstream, and then we work with various people to do the different packaging and shipping of our product. And I think I'm going back to your first question, like why'd you guys go into ovens? And the thought I was having was, Robin saying that, did you say 70% of your sales are going to women? And I don't actually know what our percentage breakdown is right now, but I think it's probably tilts male. Actually, I know it tilts male, but it's probably more like 60-40. I think some of that just gets into the fact that, we talk a lot about the power in the infrared light and sort of searing things, and so it's a little bit of a different deal. But the point I'm trying to make is that go into this space because, yes, everybody does have one, and everyone has an oven, and they also probably have a microwave or a toaster oven or a toaster. Mm-hmm. So, you have sort of ubiquity out there, but it hasn't changed much in like 50 or 60 years, right? These particular devices. And so in our case, we see a lot of interest from baby boomers and from empty nesters. You can also see interest from millennials. You see interest on the coast and in cities, but it's also rural. So, we'll all find our particular niche and where our CACs are lowest and who our direct targets are. But these devices, I think all of them are pretty versatile. Right? And they can fit into, sometimes it's for people for dinner because they have young families. Sometimes it's just because they want to cook great stuff, on the weekends. There's no one thing here. I think versatility is the most important attribute of what these devices are striving towards.
One of the things about the Brava that I understand is that it's faster than conventional cooking. How much faster is it?
We say on average 2x. I mean, some things are kind of crazy. We're doing demos upstairs with just like everybody else, and like an example would be like a Parmesan crisp, very simple little thing, but we can create that in 2.5 minutes. We can sear a steak in 90 minutes. So some things are not fully as much as twice as fast, but in general, I would say it's about twice as fast. And again, we focus. I think it's more important. I think Matt hit on this. It's less the actual speed. It's that the time that it's cooking is yours, right? You can walk away from the device and have confidence that it's going to come out the way you want, and that's what's really giving you the time back.
So is that really the attraction of each of these products, is that they are hands-off and they'll work while you're not there? Or do you think that's a big selling point compared to a conventional appliance?
I feel like there's this invisible leash that ties people to their kitchens where like you just feel tethered, like you can't go too far, you're just stuck. And I think the goal of probably all three of us is to untether you. And I know for me that like my killer untethering feature that our team built that I use in my life is we predict how long it takes for your food to be ready. And so if you're doing like a whole chicken, which can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour 15, depending on the size, will give you that peace of mind and kind of update you on your phone, but also with your voice. So for me, my favorite killer feature is I'm in the other room with my wife and my kids, and I can just say, Alexa, ask June the ETA, and it gives that to me. And so kind of just, it untethers me, it removes me, it kind of removes this stress and strain from my brain that like, my chicken's not gonna overcook, it's okay.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, the mobile initiated cook, right? Being able to see what's in your sous vide and then say, I'm coming home at 7 o'clock, or oh no, I'm delayed, it's gonna be 7:30, and having sous vide automatically adjust that. I mean, our mobile app is incredibly simple. It's got like 2 buttons, one to set the time and one to start the cook. But that magical experience of going from safe, fresh food storage to cooking unattended, like we think that's revolutionary. And that's why we don't even call it an oven, we call it a kitchen robot.
So cool to cook was a real challenge, right? I mean, keeping the food cold until it was hot.
Yeah, there's many non-trivial engineering challenges with combining a refrigerator and an oven.
Sounds expensive.
And that's what I'd say the bulk of our R&D and IP and patents are around over the, we spent 3.5 years working on that.
Yeah.
And the time to drop, time to get cold, and maintaining that. But it works really great. We're really confident, and frankly, it's a very important safety feature. Making sure that we're keeping food stored cold enough is kind of the most important foundational thing in food safety. So we've spent a lot of time and energy, and we're really confident in the product we built.
So yours does not cook fast, but it can start when you're not there and you don't have to pay attention
Yeah,
to
I mean, I would say it's no different than the cooking methods we're using, right? The proteins are cooked sous vide, the vegetables are steamed, the starches are filled, boiled, and drained, right? And so it's no different than those same cooking methods would be if you were using your stovetop or your oven, maybe a little bit faster because it efficiently heats things up. But it's not like, Matt and John's product. It's not this ultra-fast device. Cook times are generally hour and a half. If it's a fish meal, it might be a little bit shorter. But yeah, the whole idea is when we talk to our Kickstarter backers about it, they're like, well, we don't care how long it takes to cook because it's going to be done, while we're not at home or in another room.
It's safe to start it hours before. You can put it in the morning.
Yeah, we're recommending people, put it in the night before or the morning before they go to work. So it requires some planning, but that's the whole idea. And then it refrigerates, it gets it down pretty cold pretty fast, and then transitions to cooking automatically based on its calculated cook time. So all you do is you say, what time you want to eat dinner, if it's a sous vide meal, and if it's your own food, you set the temperature and time for sous vide, you set the time for vegetables steaming and the time for starch boiling, and then it calculates what time it needs to start warming itself up and cooking and does all that automatically.
And this is going to launch in the new year or the end of this year? You're still...
So we're working hard to get them out as soon as possible. We've communicated with our Kickstarter backers, a bit of a delay, but I don't want to make any news. I want to tell our Kickstarter backers first when we expect them to ship, but it will be soon.
For each of you, what was the biggest challenge in creating your product? What was the hardest thing to actually conquer? It sounds like for you, Robin, it was the cool to cook feature, unless there was something else that was also difficult.
I mean, I laughed just because, I think what the three of us are doing is so much more complicated than most of the startups you see in this space. And I have to give so much credit to Matt, who was kind of the first one to launch, and to John. Building an appliance, it's just, we're not building some simple software thing. And I have, they know why I laugh because, building a product that is reliable and safe like this is so much more complicated. And sometimes I feel like at least these guys don't get the credit they deserve for taking on such an ambitious, big, but important task. But I don't know, I'll let you guys answer that.
For us, I think the big headline would just be building an integrated system that can deliver the results you want, and it has its little chapters that went along. So if I think back across the last couple of years, there was trying to get our what we call temp sensor or our thermometer to perform the way we wanted to, and we've got a lot of sensors in this thing. We've spent quite a bit of money on it because we want to be really accurate with how the proteins are coming out. And we had it coming in from different angles. We had it coming from the bottom. There was different reasons why there was benefits and contributions from all the various permutations. But that kind of then became a little crippling for like 3 or 4 months. It was like we really couldn't pin that thing down. Then thankfully we kind of crossed that, and as soon as we did that, then there was the lamp problem. We couldn't get the differentiation between our zones to be as accurate as we want. Then eventually, as you kind of go forward, it becomes more about the software side of the business because now you've made changes in the hardware. That's going to affect how our recipes and how our AI and how our cooking engine works. And so now some of that has to be rewritten. And I guess the biggest thing is if you pull a thread out of one of these integrated systems and you sort of pull one thing and it goes sideways, everything goes sideways. So that has been the biggest thing that I think has been the learning process.
Yeah, for us, kind of one of the biggest crises in company history was when we were burning and undercooking bacon, and our customers were complaining and writing nasty notes to us saying, I want to return, this was supposed to be the magic oven, I want to return it. And what's amazing is how our engineering team and our culinary team was able to come together to solve the problem. And so we have a camera in every oven for every customer that's opted to share their data with us. We were able to pull up all the photos and video sessions and sensor data from every piece of bacon cooked in all the June ovens. And we're able to look for pattern matching. We're able to figure out that number of slices was actually the biggest variable. So we added an intelligence feature where we automatically count the number of slices. So if you have 1 slice of bacon versus 8, that's a completely different cook program. And so we use that intelligence to automatically pre-fill that field. We remember if you like it crispy or chewy now. It used to just be a one-size-fits-all option. And now we have over 64 bacon programs. We don't get complaints on bacon anymore. But literally, it was one of the biggest like panic moments in company history. And it's, again, the magic of software, the magic of being able to push over-the-air updates. In the old world there of appliances, the appliance that you buy and get into your home, that's the best it's ever going to get. And all of us on stage here we're trying to change that. And we all know that software is going to eat the world, but how do we use software to make our products better and improve them and give a better customer experience? And
by the way, I just want to echo. Our product right now is on a ship coming over here, which is exciting for us. But most of our learnings thus far have been from all of our beta testers. But the exact same thing, which is we were very conscious about having users put the specific food in a specific zone, and making sure that we know what the height of the food is really critical to how it cooks. Because if it gets too close to the lamps, it burns easier and all that. But something like, I'll just use sweet potatoes as an example. What we hadn't factored in was if people are cubing sweet potatoes and they're putting in a zone, that someone might just put 2, and someone else might put 36. And that dramatically changes how much the food is absorbing the energy and what's happening to the energy if it hits a tray, because we're trying not to use conduction. And again, here we go. It starts creating this need to refine and change all of our recipes, and we didn't really see that until 4 months ago or something like that.
So I mean, what was amazing is so our Gen 1 product cost $14.95. Our Gen 2 product is $5.99 and $7.99, two different SKUs. And for us, we knew we had to get the cost down. And what was amazing is we were able to use data from our customers to figure out which features they were using the most. And so when we started the company, a weight scale was in the spec very, very early on, and it was in the Gen 1 product. And people that liked it, but barely anyone used it. It was a very, very small percentage of people that were weighing their food before cooking or doing things. Like I used it one day a year. On Thanksgiving, my sous vide mashed potato recipe, I would weigh the potatoes on the top of my oven. So I used it once a year. But and so we had that data, and weight scales can be expensive. And so that we were like, okay, we can make that product decision. We don't need this feature anymore. And so we were able to do lots of little things using the customer data we had to make decisions on the Gen 2 product.
Go ahead.
I have a question for Matt. I want to make sure I heard you correctly, though. V1 $14.95, V2 $5.99. So we had this debate all the time. Should it be like our product right now is $9.95, not $9.99? So you went from the 95 to the 99. I'm just wondering how that happened.
I have no good data to give you on this, and I'm not just being facetious.
But you were able to get that thing down to like a third of the original cost almost. What were some of the other changes, or I don't know if you want to say compromises you had to make?
Not compromises. I just have to give kudos to the June engineering team. The simplification of design, simplification of manufacturing, and just even little things like part count. There's a lot less parts, literally, in the Gen 2 June oven, and that's just through creative design and supply chain and lots and lots of little things. Like I can't point to one thing, or because we removed the weight scale, we could drop the price as much. The weight scale's not that expensive, but like it's lots and lots of little things that kind of added up to the greater sum, and we were very fortunate that we were able to have kind of the feedback from our Gen 1 customers of what was important and what wasn't. So I'll give an example on the flip side. So we have carbon fiber heating elements, and we're able to heat up the oven, and they're full power. The heating elements are full power in 3 seconds. And so we do all of our cooking of our cook programs with no preheat. And it would have been a really good cost decision to get rid of those carbon fiber heating elements, but we couldn't. It
seems like it would be a key part of the oven.
Yeah, it is. It's too important. Kind of being able to cook with no preheat, the quality of the food that comes out from carbon fiber cooking, it was too important. So we have the same amount of carbon fiber heating elements in Gen 1 as we do Gen 2, and we did not save any money on it.
Okay. We were talking a little bit earlier about investment and how you got launched, how you got going, and I don't know if you have anything you want to share about like how you got started, what your investment was, how much trouble there was to get the money you needed to do what you wanted to do.
It's me again.
Sure, we'll start with you. We'll go down the line.
Yeah, I mean, so for us, We raised a $7.5 million seed round and then a $22.5 Series A. And for us, like I think back when we were starting, there was a lot of consumer hardware companies that were, Nest had like I think just been acquired right around when we raised our Series A. But there sadly in the industry have been a lot of companies that have run out of money for whatever reason, and so it's become a lot harder for consumer hardware companies to fundraise. And so we're very lucky and fortunate that A, our timing, but also B, that we have a product that people really love and that we have investors that support that. But yeah, it's hard out there right now. That's the truth of the matter.
So we've raised just shy of $5 million in seed. We haven't done our A yet, but I think the common trait in all of our investors is they have families, they understand the needs largely of working women, and they want to help those women, and they're also patient, right? They understand that this isn't necessarily as fast as a SaaS company. This might be a slightly slower curve, but the market need is enormous, and the unmet need is enormous.
Not too much to add here, except we've got great institutional investors. I'll just name them because they deserve a lot of credit. John Callahan at True Ventures has been a fantastic partner from day one. I think he really saw the vision that it could affect people's lives, and that was really important to him and to that firm. We have a unique investor in TPG and the RISE Fund, which is their social impact fund. And what they see and what we're doing is kind of cool because they want us to make these products for the developing world and figure out a way where you can actually use these when you're not on the electric grid. Which is just cool because it's all again about impact, and they see that. And then also Lightspeed and Cowboy Ventures are other two institutions. They've all just believed in the vision that we can make people's lives healthier and better and easier, and that's a worthy mission.
That's great. I think we are almost out of time, so I will thank you all for coming here today and sharing your story.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.